Welcome to a couple of monkeys.
Last week we released a video on drawing up the plans for this mic boom. I made this project so I could both cut it out with a laser engraver or a CNC and be able to cut it out with more common woodworking tools. In this video, I'm showing everybody how I cut it out with the common woodworking tools. I started off with a piece of 1/4-inch cherry, cutting it to size. I then used a plug from the monitor stand so I could know how wide I needed the arms. I planned to make the piece of wood insert inside of the tube of the monitor stand. I only needed 4 of these. Now I cut 2 more pieces out of a slightly thicker piece of wood. Now I adjust their size using a T-track. I need to make a small tongue on each of the wider arms. I used a tongue and groove jig and set a piece of wood at the angle that I desired and clamped it into place. I have to flip the arms around 3 times before I get all of the sides. Now I can kind of put it together to see what it would look like. I still need to round over some of the ends. I use a spindle from the spindle sander in order to get the desired circumference, and I try to follow that line with the bandsaw. And I finish off the rounding over process with the spindle sander. While doing this, I chamfer and round over any sharp edges. I can proudly say that this project is good enough for who it's for. A little rough around the edges, but it does the job. Now I go about making my handmade knobs, and my knobs did not turn out as good as the ones in my drawing, but I will tell you the process in which I thought this would have worked. Using a hole saw, I would cut a circle. Then using the same hole saw, I would make another circle about 3/4 of the distance of the circle's radius. A round wood blank can be placed in this circle, and the edge can be cut out with a hole saw bit. And rotating it 90 degrees 4 times will get a shape that works as a knob. I used a spare piece of plywood for this project, and using a hole saw bit, I made the first hole. I didn't want the wood blank to fall back out of the back of the jig, so I glued on a piece of small 1/4 plywood. I did an estimated guess on the distance and cut the second hole. Then using the same hole saw bit, I cut a bunch of blanks using some cherry. We ended up getting these 1/4-inch 20 threaded inserts that I needed to cut a hole that is 10 millimeters. So before removing all of the round blanks, I went ahead and drilled out all of the holes before cutting out the blanks all the way through. Now I'm able to attach the threaded insert to the blank and then tighten it on the jig. Now I use the hole saw bit to cut the corners off of the blanks. Now my jig kept shifting just a tad bit with the torque of the drill, making it uneven, but it's perfect for me. Now I use the spindle sander to go over all of the knobs. These knobs ended up being a little thick for my taste, so I ended up resawing them with the bandsaw. After this, I start fitting all the pieces together. And I had to drill out all the bolt holes. It made it easier to attach all of the arms together and then drill one continuous hole. I had a boatload of these hex bolts left over from a bed that got destroyed just by regular use within 30 days. And honestly, that's how we got into woodworking. Now we have the arm up to this point. Now we got the shape there, we wanted to go ahead and add one more thing. I used a tongue and groove jig and set a piece of wood at the angle that I desired and clamped it into place. This makes these diamond-shaped rests. The angle that everything was clamped was a little over 45 degrees. After this, I did one more round of sanding. I decided to be lazy and put the whole thing together and then apply a coat of polyurethane. And I ended up taking it apart as I was putting the polyurethane on so everything would dry nice. I ended up applying only 2 coats to this. So we needed the hex bolts and the threaded inserts, as well as some washers for the knobs. But we also need a hanger bolt and a 5/8 to 3/8 mic stand adapter. I cut off the tip of one of the end pieces so I could put it in the hanger bolt. I cleaned the arm up with some sandpaper. After all of this was done, I put a coat of polyurethane on it, and I basically just did my best drilling a straight hole through the top of it in order to thread in the hanger bolt. I used my microphone and the mic adapter in order to help thread it into the piece of wood. I couldn't hide all of the threads inside of the wood, so I decided to cut some of it off. Something about it just didn't look right. Now I can just attach it to the mic. Now we connect everything together. I end up adding washers to all the joints to make sure everything is nice and smooth. This mic arm is amazing. It's made from solid cherry. It holds my mic out of the way when I'm not needing it, and it really helps my audio quality by creating a consistent location where my mic is sitting on my table. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.